cameras and healthcare tend to not really mix very
Yeah,
well, especially
yeah,
when it comes to me just running around with my cell phone camera,
yeah.
So that's definitely been a major roadblock in kind of the day of the life kind of stuff.
You're listening to What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about creativity, I'm talking about writing, and I'm talking about reinventing yourself through the arts. Hey everyone, it's Michael Jamin. Welcome back to another episode of my show, which I've rebranded as the Michael Jamin Show because I want to make sure that there's more me in every mention of the show. And as you know, mostly I've interviewed screenwriters, people I've worked with, directors, actors, and now, after doing this for 2 years, I want to open it up to more people who are just doing interesting things. And there's a whole universe I don't know about, and so I'm learning about. And my next guest is going to teach us a little about that. His name is Jack Raia. He is the host of What's Good 247 on. He's a big TikToker. So we're going to learn all about that. Jack, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, Mike. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, let me tell everyone a little about you. So as far as I can tell, maybe I'm wrong, you're an EMT. You're in New York, right? Where in New York are you?
I'm on Long Island in Nassau
Long
County.
Island. Interesting. My nephew's an EMT. He's a paramedic, actually. So I know a
Nice.
little about that world. But you have a very popular channel on TikTok where basically you kind of act out, for the most part, you kind of act out scenes of what it's like to be an EMT. Am I right?
Yeah. I categorize it as EMS sketch comedy. I guess is what I've labeled it.
And then what inspired you to start all this?
So it was honestly a series of coincidences that got me into TikTok. The first instance was back in the summer of 2020. A friend of mine just posted a random video on TikTok, and it was this new app that I wasn't even on yet. It was kind of labeled the app that's just like for middle school girls to do dances on, right? No one really knew what
That's
it was
exactly
yet.
Right. That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
Right. Right. So my buddy posted a video. I was up like lighting off fireworks or something dumb. And the video like blew up. The algorithm just picked it up and it ended up getting like a couple million views, I think over 3 million views or something like that. And my buddy had 0 followers on TikTok. So that was the first instance of like, wow, like this whole algorithm based For You page is like, holy crap, I guess it works. Right.
Yeah.
So then that summer I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll give it a shot. So I was the captain lifeguard at the time, and because of COVID that summer, we had to figure out a way to test the rookie lifeguards, like drill them on saves without like making physical contact, which is a little bit strange, but it's the way it ended up working. So I came up with the idea of having them save traffic cones. I was throwing traffic cones into the deep end, and I posted a video of one of those drills, and it blew up just like my buddies did. So I went from 0 followers and 0 views to like 6 million something views and like 11,000 followers, right? So that was the first instance of like, wow, this level of attention is so easy and addicting that like I think I'm going to give this app a little bit of a shot.
But do you have other aspirations? I mean, you got a real job, you have a career.
Oh yeah, of course. But given how I discovered the algorithm, I was like, you know what, maybe I can do some other stuff on here. So I was experimenting with a bunch of different types of videos and characters. I used to do like an Eminem character, like the rapper, like Eminem burns his finger on the stove, just a bunch of crap that I was just making in my free time. But then that following school year, a buddy of mine started doing these POV style skits, which was I hadn't had any exposure to until I saw it on TikTok. So my buddy started doing like POV, like frat guy comes up to you at the bar, or POV, your Italian dad, or something like that.
Right.
And at first we were like, dude, like, what are you doing? That's an app for just posting random crap and doing other stuff. Why are you putting yourself on there like that? But he just didn't care, and he just kept making his videos, trying to make each one better than the last. And I watched my friend, one day he had 10,000 followers and 50, 100, and now he's got over 1 million, and he moved out to LA, and
wow.
And he really did it. So I watched him just not care what other people were thinking and just be consistent. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I could do this whole POV skit thing.
But your friend wants to be an actor, right?
Yeah, right.
Do you want to act as well?
I mean, I would love the opportunity. I definitely My first love is definitely being an EMT and working in, the EMS field.
Right.
I have a private ambulance company job on Long Island in a 911 system, and I also work for an event staffing company that does like everything from fashion shows to concerts to music festivals and stuff like that. So
Right.
I really love doing that stuff. But I've realized through all these coincidences how lucrative social media, especially TikTok, can be. So I guess
Well,
that's really all culminated to what I'm really doing here.
well, tell me then, how are you how do you monetize on TikTok?
So the main way is you build up enough of an audience to get brand deals. That's the way that pays the most, at least for
And
most people.
are you doing that?
Yeah, yeah. So the most recent, I guess, notable one I had was for a video game company called Supercell that makes an iPhone game called Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
So I they posted a contract through the app. So there's a creator marketplace on TikTok,
Right.
and you can see different companies and scroll through and see, they're offering different rates for different videos. And so I applied for this one through Supercell, and the objective was to use one of their sounds, right, which TikTok is pretty popular for. So when you open their app, Clash of Clans, there's a pretty distinct sound that you're opening the game. So I just kind of figured I could work it humorously into an EMT skit, and it ended up doing really well.
Now, are
So
they giving you a lot of notes? Do you have to go back and forth and tell them what your idea is?
it really depends. Every company has different wants and specifications when it comes to doing the brand deals. Some are super relaxed and they let the creator just like, hey, do your thing. We trust you. But some others are like to nitpick and stuff like that.
But you
Um,
must be worried. You can't do that a lot because then suddenly you're the commercial channel, right?
exactly. So you kind of got to pick and choose which ones you
Uh-huh.
want to do and when. There are other avenues though, like the Creator Fund is something I get questions about a lot. So based on the certain amount of views you get, it'll pay out a couple cents per thousand views or something like that.
Are you doing that as well?
So they just changed it actually. They
Right.
just released a beta program where now there's a much higher payout rate for videos that are over 1 minute long. So
Right.
I'm kind of screwed because a lot of my videos are like 30 to 50 seconds long, right? So I could try to stretch them out, but I feel like the quality of the
Interesting.
video might take a hit at that point. But there's some people out there that, they have, 100,000 followers or something like that. And it's just them spewing their thoughts out into TikTok, and they post like 4 or 5 times a day of these, them just talking or giving their opinion on stuff. And all these videos are a minute, 2 minutes long. And there's people making 10, $15,000 a month off,
Wow.
just this new beta creator program now.
Do you think it limits your reach though? If you're
So I think it has to, honestly,
uh-huh.
and I'm confident in saying that TikTok is the least predictable social media
Yeah.
platform out there. We're all at the mercy of the algorithm here, and
Yeah.
it seems to be pretty random and definitely hard to predict, you know. So some stuff happens to blow up, some stuff doesn't. I'll be super confident in a video that I make and I'll be excited to post it, and it'll
Hmm.
flop in comparison to other videos where sometimes I'll just post for the sake of consistency and just, getting content out, and oh crap, this one just blew up. All right. Like, you
And
know,
what is your schedule? Like how often do you post?
so when I started and I was really trying to give it a go, I was super adamant about sticking to one a day, no
Right.
matter what. I don't care if I love the video. I just have to force people to see me every single day when I was,
Yeah.
really trying to grow. So the quantity over quality method works pretty well when you're like trying to start out. But
Hmm.
now I'm at the point where I try to be more selective and I try to make sure that each video is up to standard, if
Yeah.
you will. So I don't really stick to a hard schedule. It's more if I have a good idea and it comes to me and I'm able to flesh it out and I have an opportunity to film it, then great. But if I
Okay.
don't, it's like didn't get one today.
And then
But
how often, like how long do you spend on each idea? Do you write it down? Like what's your
yeah,
pre-production time like?
so right. So my particular I guess strategy is 95% of what you hear me say on TikTok has been written down at a
Hmm.
certain point. As I go through it, maybe stuff gets switched around or whatever. But the general premise and the I guess the pacing of the skit is totally all written down and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, a big part of my production is actually my little brother, who's my cameraman,
I was
and
gonna say, yeah.
he's got a real knack behind the lens. I like to tell
Uh,
him, he's good at being able to keep me in frame the right way, which all of my videos have that banner title over the top.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to restart because my head clips into it too much and stuff like that. But other than that, it's just me and an iPhone camera. TikTok has given us the ability, or really social media in general, to create content that can have a wide reach with not really a lot of equipment. So super grateful for that.
On a given day, how much time do you devote to a video?
Sometimes
writing
zero,
it, producing it, and then posting it.
Oh, well, I've definitely gotten faster at it.
Mhm.
So when I would start the whole process, start to finish, from writing the script to getting that final take, putting a filter on it and posting it, be up to like 2 hours sometimes in the beginning, an hour, 2 hours easily, but now if I have like a good seed to build a skit around, whether it's a good punchline or a premise that I like, that I can kind of mold the rest of the video around, once I get that down, the whole filming process, like 15-20 minutes for me now, sometimes 30 minutes, depending on, where I am. I live next to the train tracks. So when a train goes by, it'll totally ruin my take, or sometimes I got to wait for the neighbor to stop mowing his lawn and stuff like that. But when I'm able to just film at the pace I'd like to film, probably about 20-30 minutes to do the filming now, as opposed to an hour before.
That's so interesting. And then how has this benefited you in ways that were unexpected? What has come from this?
Oh, so by far, it's the amount of people that'll reach out to me through like Instagram DMs or even in my comment section, telling me that, my content has inspired them to take an EMT course. Or,
oh, wow. Okay.
I've even had some pretty moving conversations with people where it's like, hey man, just got off the truck after 24 hours, thanks for bringing me a smile. It's nice to be seen, is what people have told me, because I'm shedding a little bit of light and humor on the, some of the grittier sides of the EMS world. So people have noticed that, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even really mean to have an impact on people like that, but I have been. So that's been really, really cool to do.
Well, I think people love EMT workers. I mean, you're there to save lives. So it's not
kind of hard to hate on sometimes.
Yeah, but okay. But do you get haters? You must.
Oh yeah, of course.
And how does that affect you? And what do you do about it?
So I'm thankfully at the point now where I have a large enough audience where if someone leaves me a hate comment, someone that likes my content or is following me will kind of, go to bat for me in the comment section. I definitely don't entertain trying to argue with people in the comments or DMs or stuff like that.
Do you block them or no?
Not really, honestly, because sometimes getting a little bit of controversy in the comments and people arguing back and forth with each other can be good for engagement, unfortunately. But I've come to realize that no matter what kind of content you're creating and no matter how good you are at it, there's people that are going to have negative things to say.
Yeah.
People crap talk everyone from Tom Brady to the best comedians in the world, the best musicians, best artists, writers. Doesn't matter. You're going to get hate. If you're putting yourself out there, people like to spread negativity for some reason. So it's just part of what comes with putting yourself out on the internet. So I don't really let it get to me too much.
That's it. But it's interesting that you don't block them, because you might be more mature than I am. So I sometimes just don't want to hear it. I just goodbye. I don't want to be I don't want to look at the negativity.
Thankfully, I don't get too much. I definitely got a little bit more in the beginning than I do now. And I know TikTok is pretty good at censoring a lot of stuff. Sometimes too good, honestly. I've left comments that were meant to be positive on other people's pages, but it'll get flagged for like being negative or insulting or something like that. So a certain percentage of negative comments won't even show up. I won't even know that they're there. Right. But the ones that I do get, it's like, it's just part of it. It's like, you got to take the good with the bad a little bit. Some of them are funny, honestly. Some of them are pretty clever.
Do you respond to, it sounds like you respond to a lot of people. Do you respond even, kind comments? You respond to them, everyone?
Yeah. I'm definitely less responsive in my comment section than I am for like my DMs. Like if someone wants to reach out to me on Instagram and personally message me, I'm grateful for every time someone takes the time to reach out to me. I think it's crazy that people, resonate enough with what I'm creating to like send me a message. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
If you take the time to message me, I'll totally answer.
Hey, it's Michael Jamin. If you like my content, and I know you do because you're listening to me, I will email it to you for free. Just join my watch list. Every Friday, I send out my top 3 videos of the week. These are for writers, actors, creative types, people like you. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. I'm not going to spam you. And the price is free. You got no excuse. To join, go to michaeljamin.com/watchlist. And now back to what the hell is Michael Jamin talking about?
Here's a question I tend to ask people who are creators. Do you notice a difference between the kind of people commenting on TikTok versus, let's say, YouTube or Instagram?
100%.
What
It's
are the
almost
differences?
there's almost like a generational gap between
Uh-huh.
something like Instagram or TikTok. TikTok seems to be like the 25 and under, and Instagram seems to be like the 18 to 35 or older. So the difference in humor and the difference in memes on each page is definitely different. And it's interesting that like I'll post something on TikTok, it'll do well, right? Or comparatively will do well. And then once I load it into Instagram and I have that kind of Instagram mindset and that feel for that audience, I almost hesitate a little bit because I know that it's going to be perceived like totally differently.
Uh-huh.
There's a certain level of I guess being corny on TikTok that is like being intentionally corny. They see the sarcasm in it, right? So it
Right.
works on TikTok, but it doesn't come across that way on Instagram. So Instagram, it's just a different way that people view it. It's kind of strange, honestly.
And what about YouTube?
So YouTube, I do put my stuff on there, but I don't really have enough of an audience on there to really get much
Right.
engagement. I have 2 vlogs on there. I've made an attempt at the long form content, but uh, it doesn't really compare to what I'm doing on TikTok and Instagram right now. I'd love to get my YouTube audience up in the numbers these
Right.
days, but the only
It's
real comparisons I can make is like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook are kind of the holy trinity of where I post my
right.
stuff and what I can kind of
Facebook as
describe.
well. Now, was it difficult at first? I mean, at first putting yourself out there, was that hard for you? I know you were inspired by your friend, but still.
It's crazy you say that because I look back at some of those older videos that I was making and I have no idea how I had the balls to do that. I look at it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like,
Right.
how did I not care? I just kind of didn't, and I was kind of just enamored by seeing other people blow up on the app, especially my friend, and I was like, you know what, screw it. Like, yeah, who cares?
And how long have you been doing this now?
So the first time I ever posted on the app was summer of 2020. The first time I ever like really tried to make POV skits and succeed that way was like the winter, like December 2021. So
Okay.
about a year and a half, coming up on 2 years now. But
Right.
it wasn't until last summer that I realized that this EMT character was what
Right.
I was really going to try to stick with. So the
Isn't that
whole,
interesting? That you
yeah.
you 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 naturally found your voice just by doing
Mhm.
it and over it. People struggle with that, and I kind of say to them, just do something every day, and then
Exactly.
you'll find your way. You'll find your
Mhm.
voice. You'll just know what works and what doesn't work. And
Yeah,
it
I used to be super adamant about like rotating my characters. I had success with a bartender character in the past
right,
and a bouncer. I've done a teacher, a lifeguard, whole bunch of different stuff. And I used to be pretty adamant about like, okay, I did my Gen Z cop today, so tomorrow I'm going to do the Gen Z professor, and then I'll do the lifeguard, and then I'll circle back around to the
hmm
EMT character. But I got to a point where the only one that I really enjoyed doing and the one that I was the most motivated to create was the EMT character.
well,
And
because that's the most authentic. That's who you are.
exactly right.
Yeah, you're
And
not
I
playing a role. Yeah.
mhm. and I discovered how valuable it was to really focus in on a niche,
hmm
instead of doing this myriad of characters, just being kind of labeled as that
Yeah.
EMT guy on TikTok, right,
Right.
was pretty
Now,
valuable to
how much of yourself, because you're doing sketches, and so this is
mhm.
a character that you've created. The character is based on yourself, but it's still a character, and you're
Right,
still not showing all of us. You're not showing all of yourself, right?
right.
And so, what's the line, and how did you decide on that line?
So I'm someone that I found it much easier to play a character online than it was to kind of naturally talk to the camera and stuff like that, which is definitely the opposite for other people.
Uh,
There's creators 2, 3, 10 times my size where they just hit record, talk to the camera, and they have this big, beautiful, successful video.
yeah.
But I don't know. When it comes to my, I guess, authentic personality and putting it on TikTok, I kind of spin my tires in that regard. But
Is it not comfortable for you, or you don't want to?
um, I don't know. It's just I don't like when I go to try to do some authentic stuff like that. I don't even know what to talk about. I have
Right.
no real inspiration on what the video should be about. When it comes to these TikTok skits, I'll have that joke or that punchline. I'm like, oh, that's good, and then I
Right.
can craft a video around it, and then I'm excited to film it.
Right.
So I'm definitely not opposed to being authentic and showing my real personality on camera. I just don't really know what it would really do or be about. So maybe one day, but
Yeah, it's so interesting. And then, okay, so you mentioned that you're into act. You think about acting, but you don't want to move to LA. You're not that serious about it. You're just you're open to it, right?
right. So the way I see it, like I live on Long Island. By train, I'm less than an hour outside of Manhattan, right?
Hmm.
So any sort of opportunities in the entertainment industry, I feel like I could probably pursue in New York
Yeah.
if they were to come about,
Right.
But the idea of moving to LA and kind of trying to jump with both feet into Hollywood, I guess,
Yeah.
doesn't have as much as appeal to me as it does kind of just making my videos, working on the
Right.
ambulance, working at a concert. I'm kind of liking what I'm doing instead of,
Yeah. Right.
really trying to jump into one or the other, you know?
I appreciate that. I mean, you're doing this to me. It seems like you have the it's the purest form. Excuse me, purest form of expression. You're doing this because you want to be creative. This is your outlet, right?
Yeah. And the honest truth is I like being a content creator, but I love being an EMT.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
honestly the unfortunate reality is that if I could make as much as a content creator as an EMT, I probably wouldn't be doing much of the content creator stuff. Obviously, like I said before, the attention super addicting and it's fun to
uh-huh.
get recognized and stuff like that. But um, if I could flip the payrolls, I would.
Well, let me ask you this: why not do more actual day in the life where you got the camera, you're behind the wheel of the ambulance or whatever? Is it because you're not allowed to?
Sort of. So I've
Uh-huh.
done a little bit of that. I've able to, like I said, I have some vlogs on YouTube where I'm vlogging, like the work that I do
Yeah.
as an EMT. But it's definitely much harder to do than if you were to do it with other jobs, with everything from HIPAA violations to,
Yeah.
if I were to deviate even 1 second or one minutia of
Yeah.
my brain power to my phone or something like that while I'm
Yeah.
in the ambulance at all, it's just not something you really want to get involved with,
Yeah. I could see that. I
you
mean,
know?
other than maybe like cleaning the ambulance when it's parked in the
Right.
station or
Yeah.
something.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
Right. I can see
But
that.
cameras and healthcare tend to not really mix very
Yeah.
well, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to me just running around with my cell phone camera.
Yeah.
So that's definitely been a major roadblock in kind of the day of the life kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess now it's a naive question now that I asked that. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
telling.
but I've had some success, so it's not like it's impossible, but it's definitely more difficult. So it's not really that much of a priority for me. Um,
Are there creators or even famous people whose work you admire, who you were trying to emulate in your
um,
work?
yeah, I mean, there's other EMT creators or EMS creators or even just healthcare workers in general that create content on the app that I really like.
Uh-huh.
One of them is the guy's name is Fire Department Chronicles. He's
Okay.
a bald dude that makes firefighter skits, and he's the best in the business. He kills it.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you going to collab with him or no?
I mean, maybe one day. I haven't really
You haven't
reached
reached
out
out.
to him
Oh,
like
okay.
that,
You don't
but
know each other. You just okay.
I mean,
It's great that
he's got millions and millions of followers, and
right. Well, you're
his
getting up
production.
there. You're
Yeah,
getting close to a
hopefully, right?
million.
I like to think I'm on my way, right?
Yeah,
But
it looks that way. Sure. And then
yeah,
and then you also sell merch. Are people buying that? Are the people digging
yeah, a
your
little bit.
uh,
It's a work in progress. This is one of the shirts that
bankrupt
I've
the
been
funeral
selling.
home?
It's this bankrupt the funeral home. So it's kind of a humorous situation where it's like, imagine if healthcare workers could do their job so impossibly well that no one was dying, right?
Right.
So so the funeral home is like, oh crap, we're out of customers here. We can't really afford to keep the lights on anymore.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's kind of yeah.
it's a good message you got. It's positive.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I really I admire you for putting yourself out there for just showing up. A lot of people are afraid to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And my goal is to do something greater for the emergency services community down the road. I'm making a couple bucks off each T-shirt here now, but I have plans to really increase it. I'm collabing with a much larger Instagram page soon,
Uh-huh.
so we want to sell everything from hats, patches, stickers, T-shirts, bags, everything under the sun. Donate a portion of each sale, and really try to give back to the community that's given me this platform is definitely a goal of mine.
Well, I imagine you're becoming the face. You're becoming the face of EMT workers, at least in your area. I can only see good things coming from that. In terms of
Hmm.
raising your profile in the industry.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll have to agree with you there for sure.
Yeah. Have you been have others reached out to you, and other people in your line of work reach out to you and say, "Hey, good for you for doing this," or what? How
Oh
do they
yeah,
react? Yeah.
yeah. I get a lot of really positive messages from other creators and just from other, hey, I'm an EMT and wherever, really like your videos, man.
Yeah.
Um, one message that sticks out to me in particular was probably last summer. I got a message and it was, hey, I'm an EMT instructor out of Iowa. My class loves your videos. We watch your videos as like an icebreaker every morning before class. Holy crap!
Isn't that
Really? Like
great?
the whole class?
And then that's really
Um,
nice.
yeah, that's when it really started to hit me that like I'm really impacting other EMTs and paramedic stuff in here. I was like, wow, like there's some real serious reach here.
Yeah,
You
people don't
know?
realize that what you do actually makes a difference in some people's
Hmm.
lives. It really
Yeah.
does.
And
Yeah.
with that, there's definitely a little bit of responsibility.
Hmm.
There's two aspects of my content that I'm kind of trying to clean up in the future a little bit. One of them being is the like the disheveled kind of inappropriate nature that my character exhibits a lot of the time. Showing
Uh-huh.
up with his boots untied, still tucking in his shirt. Which kind of happens due to the nature of the job. Maybe you're on a 24-hour shift, you just woke up, you're drinking Red Bulls or doing whatever. And I would hate for that to influence a new or
Yeah.
future EMT. I would hate for them to think that it's okay to do that because of the nature of the job.
When did you come to
But
that realization though?
um,
Right. And
pretty
how?
pretty recently. So I've started putting, or I've went back and put disclaimers on a lot of my videos, like it does not represent correct practice,
Okay.
because I'll have people nitpick what I'm doing in the comments and stuff. And it was hitting me, it's like, it is important to,
Yeah.
obviously it's a comedy skit, but it is important to note like, hey, this is not the way you're supposed to be doing things.
Yeah.
I'm over here trying to make a couple people laugh. This is in no way, shape, or form the way that you're supposed to conduct yourself, you know.
That's an
Um,
interesting realization that you're
mhm,
doing this for fun, and then you realized at some point you had a responsibility
exactly.
to the world, really, to
Hmm.
not just to your coworkers, but in your profession, but to
Yep.
the world, which is
Hmm.
which is I
Yeah.
don't think not everyone comes to that realization. Uh,
Right.
yeah, I wish more people did,
Hmm.
because what you put out there is important, and
Hmm.
it's
It
yeah,
will affect people,
yeah, yeah,
whether it's subconsciously or directly, it will start to influence the way people see this job,
yeah,
and that goes for whatever kind of content you're making. Another aspect that I'm going to try to kind of clean up in the future is I don't want to deter people from calling 911 because they think they might get this EMT that comes in with attitude and doesn't want to be there and stuff like that. You
hmm,
know, some of the videos I make, I'll be coming through that front door and I'm just like, oh, this is a bull crap call. My kind of rolling my eyes and I'm, making jokes about the lack of severity of the situation. And I
hmm,
would hate for someone to see one of my videos and
yeah,
think twice about calling 911.
yeah,
So it's definitely some stuff that I'm going to address in the future. But I feel like I'm ahead of the curve, hopefully, so that it hasn't really gotten too far yet where,
yeah.
there might be some crazy instance or something like that. But it's definitely something that's on my radar to kind of address. So
Where do you think most of your followers are? Are they in the United States? I mean, I would assume.
honestly, I'm not sure. I can check my analytics and it can tell
Right,
me like where people are from. The most recent time I checked, my most followed city was Chicago, and coincidentally enough, so it was
right.
like Chicago, Phoenix, Austin. Like New York wasn't even really up there.
Isn't that
Um,
interesting? Yeah.
but I've definitely there's definitely a lot of local people that have recognized me. Like when
Uh-huh.
I started at my private ambulance company in February of this year, and my first ride along, I showed up. I walked into the building and put my stuff down and immediately went on a call with both of my field training officers. So obviously we're kind of in like call mode, right? But
Mhm.
once we transferred our patient care and everything like that, my FTO was like, "You that guy?" I was like, "Probably. I'm probably the one you're thinking of." Yeah,
How
you
funny.
know.
That must have
Yeah.
been nice.
Mhm.
So before we wrap up, what this is I don't know. I'm very impressed with by what you're putting out there, by what you're doing. You're like a stand-up guy. What other
Mhm.
advice do you give people who, I don't know, who are interested in doing what you're doing? What else do you have to offer them?
I think that consistency is probably the most important aspect of
Hmm.
trying to be any type of a creator, or, whether you're writing a blog, making POV skits, or making music, anything like that. Kind of just forcing people to be exposed to your content through you just keep making it and posting it is probably the most important aspect. And if you can do that and just make an effort to make each one a little bit better than the last, like it will start to compound,
Yeah.
you know.
And by consistency, you mean once a day or what?
It depends, honestly. So with me, it worked once a day.
Mhm.
Back in the winter of 2021, I had a winter break from school. So I was like, you know what? I got nothing to do this break, but watch The Sopranos and make TikTok. So no
Yeah.
matter what I'm doing, I'm going to make a TikTok every day. I don't care if I love it, I hate it, I'm going to post it. So that was that first like little spike in followers that I got. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
This can probably work. I think I got it down here.
Well,
But,
I
you know,
think it's great that you're sharing your profession, you're making it light, you're trying to entertain people, and you're doing a little something. You're raising your profile. I see just good things coming from it.
yeah,
So
I really appreciate it.
yeah, congratulations. Thank you for joining me again. I really
Oh,
appreciate
absolutely.
it. Learning your
My
story.
pleasure.
Very interesting. Everyone, go check out Jack Raia. His channel's called What's Good 247 24/7
That's me.
on TikTok. I imagine that's the same your same handle
Yep.
on
Yep.
Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's it. Wonderful.
You'll
Thank you
find me.
so much, Jack. Really good for you.
Absolutely. We'll
Congratulations.
have to do this again sometime. Thank
Yeah,
you.
good stuff. All right, everyone. That was an interesting talk with an EMT. Jack, go check him out on TikTok. All right, everyone. Until next week. I got to think of a better tagline. You should say keep writing. I'll think of something else. Keep bullshitting. All right, everyone. Thanks so much.
So now we all know what the hell Michael Jamin's talking about. If you're interested in learning more about writing, make sure you register for my free monthly webinars at michaeljamin.com/webinar. And if you found this podcast helpful or entertaining, please share it with a friend and consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. That really, really helps. For more of this, whatever the hell this is, follow Michael Jamin on social media at Michael Jamin Writer. And you can follow Phil Hudson on social media at Phil A. Hudson. This podcast was produced by Phil Hudson, it was edited by Dallas Crane, and music was composed by Anthony Rizzo. And remember, you can have excuses or you can have a creative life, but you can't have both. See you next week.